Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Sheridan and I cover ecosystem and collaborations here at Ocean Protocol. And thanks for joining us today. We wanted to have a little opportunity to give everyone who's participating in the Data Economy Challenge to get a little more insights into the bonus prizes and connect with some of our super sponsors in the process and hear directly from them what they're looking for, some tips, and just in general, kind of some helpful pointers for you when you're considering those bonus prizes. So before we get started, I thought I would just do a little bit of overview here for you in terms of the Data Economy Challenge. Some of you may have gotten already up to speed, but here was what we're going to cover today. Obviously, want a little bit of an intro into the Data Economy Data Token Edition. Then we will give the floor to our sponsors to hear from them what's new, obviously, with their projects, as well as what they're looking for within the context of the Data Economy Challenge, and then some tips and resources for you to work with respect to those prizes. In general, obviously, for us, it's all about Ocean V3, and the V3 has unlocked a lot of exciting opportunities for developers with respect to data tokens. Obviously, there's features including staking, composability, and the compute to data, which you remember most likely from V2, as well as Ocean Market and more. So there's lots of stuff to really get your hands dirty with and play around with. So we're very excited to see what you come up with. We're running it on DevPost. You can register at the link you see on the bottom there. Many of you may have already done so. As of today, I think we have over 330 registrations, which we're really excited about. So there's lots of interest in the community already. The prize pool is pretty exciting too. We have the top level first, second, third prize, as well as community choice and honorable mention. Lots of tokens to be won there, and there's more details about that on the site. But today we really want to focus on the bonus prizes, right? So these bonus prizes are extra prizes on top of the top level prizes. And they basically reward teams who are leveraging partner project technologies and looking at integrations and dApps that leverage not only Ocean data tokens, but also leverage the technology that these partner projects bring to the party. The important thing to note here is that submissions to be eligible for the bonus prize should also fulfill the main submission requirements. So there's main submission requirements plus the bonus prizes requirements as well. And of course, there's lots of token prizes there to be won as well. So we're very grateful for all of the ecosystem sponsors who have contributed to the Data Economy Challenge through these prizes. And as I mentioned in the opening, today we want to give you a chance to connect with some of them and have them share insight challenge. So what we will do now is we will shift, and I will give the floor to the first speaker. Micha Roon is the CTO of EWF, the Energy Web Foundation, and he will share with you what is new with EWF, as well as obviously what they're looking for with respect to the Data Economy Challenge and some tips for you. So with that, I'm going to shift and give the floor to Micha.
Thank you, Sheridan. Well, the introduction has been done. And then let's jump right in. And I don't know if you can see my, oops, no. That is not what I wanted to do. Voila, this is what I wanted. Thank you. So the Energy Web Foundation, we are working towards a decentralized grid. For those who don't know us, the Energy Web Foundation was founded in 2017 with 100 more companies that work towards, well, work in the energy sector and who see the benefit of decentralization and blockchain. And our mission is to create a digital infrastructure to decarbonize the grid. And this is required because, well, yesterday's grid was like this. You had a utility that sold energy to a consumer, and the consumer paid for it. And we are shifting towards an energy grid that looks more like this, where it is sometimes hard to tell consumer and producer apart. And this is why we have this new term, the prosumer, the producer and consumer in one. And the energy grid itself is actually decentralizing. It is decentralizing from a physical point of view and from a financial point of view as well. In the past, investment from utilities, the purple line here, well, right now it dwarfs investment from prosumers, but by 2030, this should invert. And prosumers will spend a lot more than the utilities because they are buying electric vehicles, they are buying photovoltaic installations, and they are buying home batteries, etc. In order to accommodate this and to be able to integrate all these decentralized energy resources, or DERs as we call them, we have come up with the Energy Web Decentralized Operating System, or EWDOS for short. And from bottom to top, it contains a trust layer, which is our Energy Web Chain. The Energy Web Chain should be familiar to most of you. It's an Ethereum clone and a proof authority chain. The authorities in questions are 30 plus members from these 100 founder companies mainly. And some of them are startups, some of them are corporates. And it's very nice to see all these people coming together to validate a chain. The incentives for these companies is very diverse, so there is very little risk of collusion for cheating. On top of this trust layer, we're building a utility layer with the Energy Web namespace, or EWNS, the key recovery service, which is work in progress, messaging, which is work in progress, storage, come in the future. And the thing I would like to focus on today is the ID directory. So it's based on decentralized identifiers, and the application registry, which is our role-based access control mechanism for applications. Just a very quick overview about DIDs, or decentralized identifiers. A user, Alice in this case, on the right-hand side of the screen, creates an identity, but a company can create an identity too. And the identity is nothing else than a key pair, and this key pair gets registered in the ID registry. And from then on, this is your identity, and you can do with it as you please. And it is self-sovereign because you hold the key to your identity. The main functionality of an identity is to hold claims in a so-called DID document. And the claim is anything. And in this case, here we see it is Alice claiming to be the customer of a DSO. A DSO is your local utility. And the DSO responding back, yes, this is true. So Alice has created a claim. She is the subject of the claim. And the DSO issues the claim back to her. The DSO in this case is the issuer of the claim. And I'm emphasizing that because it's really important to understand this claim triangle between the subject, the issuer, and the verifier. One other very important part to note here is that Alice is the only one who can store the claim in the DID document. The DID document is not stored on chain, it is anchored on chain, but not stored on chain. And the DSO cannot store the claim in Alice's document. This is why the DSO issues the claim to her, and then Alice stores the claim. So this way, if Alice is not happy with what has been issued to her, it will not appear in her DID document. I thought I had deleted that. So what we want to build is an authentication system. So you have all these DIDs, and then an authorization system on top of that. And the authorization system is based on roles, which in turn are based on applications. And the whole thing is based on ENS. And in order to demonstrate that, I would like to give a demo. So I'm gonna just open up my, and how can I show my screen here? I probably need to stop first. Then I can share my screen again. Here we go. So, okay, should work. So this is our application. We called it Switchboard. And what it allows you to do is to manage organizations, applications, and roles within these organizations and applications. I am the owner of this whole thing, and hence I have the power to create an organization. If you go to this site, you will notice that you cannot create an organization. And if someone is interested after this talk to create an organization and to play around with it, all you need to do is send me an email and I will create an organization for you. All the links to Switchboard and the associated libraries are contained in my deck, and I'm happy to share that deck with you after the talk. So what we see here, we have an organization. I have created the Energy Web Foundation as an organization. An organization has a URL, it has a name, obviously, it has a website, etc., and it has an owner. I could change these, and these would be stored again in the ENS name. You can see here the organization namespace is energyweb.iam.ewc. Because we have the Energy Web chain, we have created our own ENS system, and the root of our is not ETH, but EWC because, well, it's the Energy Web chain. Everything that lives in Switchboard lives under the top level domain iam.ewc, and hence the applications are energyweb.iam. Within an application, within an organization, I can have applications. For example, here I have within the Energy Web application, I have the decentralized message queue. And the namespace is dmq.apps.energyweb.iam.ewc, which means that this application belongs to the Energy Web organization. If I want to create an application, I can click here and simply create Ocean Data Store. For example, next. Sorry. First, it is the organization namespace, of course. And then I can create an application namespace, and I can give the application a name, a URL, and I can simply click next and create this organization. If I click next here, it will open MetaMask and ask me to confirm a list of transactions. So for each one of these steps, a transaction is required. It will take a bit of time, and this is why I will not do it right now. Even though the Energy Web Chain has a 5-second block time, creating all these transactions takes a minute. So let me confirm the canceling. And within every application, we have the roles. So I can view the roles for this application. For example, I can see I have just one role, which is admin. Let me just edit that. When you create a role, you can decide who is permitted to issue this role. And you can have a list of issuers that are allowed to issue this role. If I want to send the enrollment request to someone, all I need to do is copy the link here, send it to someone, and they will be able to request the enrollment. Now, if I want to create a new role, I can create an organization or application role. I need to put in the namespace, and let me just application. So I should be. There was, nah, not here. Okay. So let me just copy this so I don't need to type everything in. Create a role, application. It is. Next, there's just one topic that I users, and voila. Here, when I create the issuer type, I can choose between DID and role. Role doesn't work for the time being, so I need to choose DIDs, and then I can add a list of DIDs that are permitted to issue this role. If someone tries to or requests access to this role, I will receive a notification that will look like this. It is in the Enrollments tab here on the top, and you will see the list of requests, and you can then either accept or either approve or reject this request. And that's actually all there is to Switchboard, which is in alpha state right now. And the reason I wanted to show this is because, well, we focus very much on DIDs right now. It's the first step, we think, in order to integrate all these DERs into the energy grid and the energy system. And hence, we will give bonus points to anyone who uses this. All the resources that are required to create an application that uses Switchboard are contained in the deck, and I will share that in the comment afterwards. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Super, Micha, thank you very much. I noticed that we had the chat off here, but people could ask questions. There is a question tab at the bottom so that people can ask some questions if they have some for you. I certainly would like to know at least where would, a question from my side would be, what would be the best place for participants to go to get tech support? Where would you suggest? Obviously, there's a Discord channel that Ocean has that also has a channel for the Data Economy Challenge, but where would they go if they wanted to really directly connect with you and no roundabout way?
I think the best place would be to open an issue in the GitHub repository.
Okay.
There is actually an IAM client. Can I share my deck?
Sure.
Okay. So anyone with the link can view.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Maybe if you want to drop,
voila.
if you want to drop the chat, yeah, I just opened it up. Perfect.
Voila. So if you go here on slide number 13, you have a link collection, and one of it is the last one is the IAM client, which is a GitHub repository. We will be monitoring the issues there correctly during the hackathon, as well as for the DID library, which is also something that you would need if you want to integrate with DIDs. Okay,
great. And is there something that you would particularly be excited about from your side to see people or consider? Is there something, that you guys have long thought this would be something interesting to see that the community could drive forward? Is there something in particular you might want to highlight?
So for us, what is really exciting is that people create DIDs, that they play around with these identities, and that they use the permissioning system that we set up. It is particularly interesting to see what you can do with private claims and selective disclosure, because I think this is a very neat feature of the DID library, where you can create a private claim that is encrypted and that only you can see. And if you want to, you can disclose a partial list of attributes to any verifier in order for them to be able to check that this claim has been issued indeed by the correct issuer and that you're telling the truth without disclosing the whole thing. So for example, if you have a claim that is your profile with your first name, last name, email address, you could disclose your first name, last name without disclosing your email address, and the verifier would be able to know that you haven't lied. Also, what would be really nice is to set up trust relationships so that you don't need to have this pesky email verification. I can present to your claim with a verified email, and you can believe me, this is my email, because you can verify it. You don't need to send me an email, me to respond to it, etc.
Right. Important and certainly in the decentralized world to be able to have some confirmation and to vet who is on the other end, of course. So
of course,
very important. And have you personally given some thoughts to how data tokens might play a role in this, and not necessarily the verification process, but certainly with respect to EWF and how that might be able to add some extra value to the network?
DRs are generating a lot of data because it is not only the energy that is generated, which is the data that they produce, but also a lot of telemetry on the temperature of the PV panel, for example, and things like that, and you can do forecasts and well, go quite into detail about machine learning simply on the data that is provided by the asset that you are connecting. So we can envision this connection, so the data token there could be really helpful. You can also have a trustworthiness factor that would increase the value of your data. So if you have been validated or if you have been known to provide reliable information, you could gain more weight in the prediction. Things like that would be really interesting to see.
Well, thank you for that. I think that gives certainly the participants a lot to think about. Certainly some good points to consider when they're looking at the bonus prize connected to EWF, as well as how Ocean could complement what you guys are trying to accomplish and leverage data tokens in the process. Any final words for the participants out there before I invite the next speaker onto the stage?
I'm really curious to see what this hackathon will produce, and if someone finds a way to, well, either bridge or include in some other way the energy web chain into their solution, that would also give them bonus points from us.
All right. Well, I think bonus points is the way to go. So thank you very much.